Hey, what's up, guys? BJ Zell back with a new Let's Draw video coming straight from the comment section of the Facebook group. Today's question was, how can you use reference photos of somebody else's drawings and make it your own? How can you use those and make sure that you're not drawing the same thing that they are? So I'm going to walk you through my process of how to do that using a bear with its hand in a honey pot. So if you want to follow along, keep watching. All right, so let's get started. A couple things first, right off the bat. Number one, a little birdie told me today that one of our youngest viewers on the channel has a birthday coming up tomorrow on February 12th. So I just want to wish Peyton a happy 10th birthday. And everybody should leave a comment for Peyton saying happy birthday. So thanks for watching, buddy. We appreciate it and hope you have a great birthday. Today's video is actually coming straight from a comment on the Facebook group. If you haven't joined yet, make sure you hit up that description, click the link, and subscribe to the group. This one actually is from Bill, and Bill says, I have a problem. I want to draw a bear with his hand in a honey jar. I Google images, find hundreds, but don't want to copy them. What do you look for in a reference so you can do your own take? Can you go through the process of putting your personal take on someone else's work or reference, especially a reference that are drawings, not photos? I find hundreds of images and they too are very similar. Thanks. So Bill brings up a very good point. When you're looking for, a certain reference image and stuff like that, you'll see a lot of drawings that are already done, and you don't want to be too exact to their work. You don't want to, copy their work. You don't want to be too derivative of stuff that they've already done. So this is a stuff that a lot of artists run into, that when you're looking for those inspirations, you don't want to get too close to the originals. So Bill brings up a very good point, and we're going to go with that today. So like Bill said, a bear with his hand in a honey pot. So let's go ahead and hop on over to Safari here. I'm going to Google a bear with honey pot cartoon. And we'll see what we find. Go to images. All right, so like Bill said, there's just an absolute ton of images that you will find. Let's see. This one's really cute. I like that guy. Let's go ahead and save that one. Kick back. So you kind of notice going through these here, you see a few different types of images popping up right away. So we've got a lot of these that's the bear sitting with the honey pot between its legs. Of course, they're all drawn different. They all look different. There's ones with the bear carrying it like this. Of course, when you're looking for a bear with a honey pot, you're going to find a ton of images of poo. I mean, that's just kind of guaranteed. You know that going into it. So what I'm doing right now, kind of my mindset looking through this, I'm just getting an overall feeling of what other people are doing. I like this guy here, so let's go ahead and save him. Let's see. This one's really cute too with poo. Yeah, he's got his hand in the honey jar, but it's different than what the other ones are because he's got it held above his head. There's another one with him having it held above his head, but this one, it's him sitting. This one, it's laying on his back. Let's see. This one's another cute one. This bear walking and holding the honey jar. That one's cute too, so let's save that one. And let's look for one more. Yeah, this one's cute. Let's do one poo. That's a cute poo one, so let's go ahead and save that one. Okay, so we've got our first few images used for references. Go back into Procreate here. Once again, if you haven't been a subscriber or a visitor to the channel before, I'm using the iPad Pro 12.9 inch. This is a first gen along with Procreate and the Apple Pencil. So let's go ahead and import our images. So we're going to go up to the wrench icon here. We're going to go to add and insert a photo. And we'll throw in our 4 reference images. I usually go with 4 just because I like to place them around the corners. They kind of stay out of the way and kind of balances everything out in a very OCD-ish way. Let's throw this little guy here. And our last one, Pooh Bear. Alright, there we go. So as you can see, I went with 4. I guess I did do 2 different Poohs. See, I've got 4 very different images, even though these are both Pooh Bears. As far as the overall look to them, this one's got the honey pot in between his legs. Pooh Bear here has it above his head. This is a very more toddler baby-esque looking Pooh. And then we've got the bear carrying the honey pot here. So I'm going to go ahead and merge all these layers together and group them like that, and then drop the opacity down so they don't take too much away from the focus of the rest of the drawing. And what I look for is, like I said, a lot of different variations in the overall design. Like Bill said, I want to do a bear with this hand on the honey pot, but I don't want to get too close to the original design. And that's one thing you've really got to look at as you're getting ideas and doing character designs or concept sketches, is just using these as almost mood boards. So if you don't know what a mood board is, it's big on like Pinterest and you know, for wedding ideas and stuff like that. You just get a lot of different ideas that are in the same principle as far as the same design group, but they don't look the same, and it's just going to influence your quote-unquote mood and how you design from there. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm not going to bite any of these designs. I'm not going to recreate them. I just want to see what other people are doing. So one thing you'll see, I'm noticing here, is even though they've got some of the jagged edges for the lines here, everything is really cute and very circular. Even Pooh, everything is very just, you've got the nice curves, very curvy, very circular. So that's one thing that with looking at this one, I think I'm going to do is make something a little bit more angled. I think with the honey idea, Pooh is just absolutely obsessed with honey, and I think that's one of the things that really stands out with the idea of a bear in a honey pot is the bear wants to get the honey. The bear is just obsessed with the honey. The honey is the bear's drug. So I think I want to do something that looks a little bit like the bear's almost cracked out and just needs more and more honey and is almost manic about the honey. I think that might look good. Everything too, like I said, since everything is so just rounded and circular, maybe going for like a more angled look might be kind of cool. to make it stand out from the rest of what's out there. This is basically just my thought process going through as I'm starting a character design and a sketch and just the whole basic beginnings of a design. So yeah, I think that's what I'm going to go for. So let's go ahead and start. Let's make a new layer here. Like I've said in my previous videos, I always like to start with that blue line sketch. Just makes it a lot easier when you go back in for inking. So let's do that. And I've got the new layer there. I'm going to turn these down even more so I can barely see them. Yeah, to about there. Don't want to take too much focus away from what I'm doing. And this isn't too much focus away from what I'm doing on the screen. This is too much focus away from what I'm doing myself. I'll get kind of distracted by some of the reference photos off to the side. So, sorry, my throat's going dry. Gotta get a drink. All right. So we got that. Oh, by the way, if you haven't seen my other video, it might look different. I got one of the art gloves. I'm recording 2 videos tonight. I already recorded the first one talking about the art glove. If you haven't watched that yet, check it out. So if stuff looks different, you're like, oh my God, what's on his hand? That's what it is. And it is pretty awesome. So check out the other video that I'm posting tonight along with this one. So let's go ahead and get started. Like I said, just kind of want more angled look. So I'm going to start sketching out the shape of the bear. As you can see, I'm going in with the more squared out angled look. I think that's going to help kind of differentiate what I'm doing versus what some of the other designs that we found look like. Doing the legs coming down here and then the feet. Like I've said in my previous videos, I don't really worry about the sketch process too much. Keep everything really loose and honestly go in on my inking side of things to worry about the details. This is more just to get everything kind of plotted out where it goes. So as you can see, like I said, with making the squared and angled, in most cases this would be the body here and then the head would be, you know, rounded out up in this top region. But I'm having the body actually go into the head in this kind of rectangle polygon look. I think that will look kind of cool. Same thing with the ears. I want to keep those kind of squared off and angled as well. Kind of make them stand out a little bit more. And I think if you would go through that Google search like I did and this one pops up, it would be one of the ones that actually stand out because it does not look like the rest. And that's, I think, basically what we're going for, and what Bill was asking about was, how do you make it stand out from the crowd? How do you not just fall into the same style that everybody else is doing? You know, depending on the design, sometimes that's good if it's a certain design that people know what it's supposed to look like. Like one of the previous Wednesday critiques that I did talking about the T-Rex dinosaur, that, you know, there's a certain look to a T-Rex that you kind of have to go by so that people know it's a T-Rex on first glance. But this is a case I think I'm going to go a little bit different. And you'll see the eyes too. I made the eyes 2 different shapes. Reason being there is just, like I said, to go for that more manic look. Want him to kind of look like he's really into this honey pot. So I'll do that. And then let's see, probably start coming down with the arms here. I'm going to have one arm kind of holding the pot. And once again, I kind of want these angled and more squared off, I guess. And this is just playing around with the size of them too, because I know I still need to get this other arm in here. So I don't want this one to be too big, but I don't want it to be too small either. I want it to be kind of oversized. There we go. And then let's, I think I'm going to have this be the the arm that's in the pot here. And since I'm drawing this and I'm having the hand coming into the pot and the other one holding it, usually I think if I was doing this design and was doing it like this one, where the bear was holding the pot, I would probably do the pot first and then draw the bear around the pot to make sure it formed, you know, perspective-wise correctly. But I think with this one, the fact that he's got his hands in there and the way that he's holding it, this all needs to be done. The pot needs to be done after the rest of the body. So let's do that. Try to get this looking somewhat natural, I guess. My thought here as I'm doing this pot, I don't want too much of this covered up down here where the body connects to the legs. And I kind of want the pot to be angled and fat and weird as well, just so it's got that same style of the rest of it. Yeah, I think that's good. And then let's go ahead and do the nose. I think I'm going to have the nose kind of covering parts of the eyes up there. So we'll do that. And then like a more manic look on his face too, so the mouth is not going to be like a perfectly straight across or a perfect smile. It's going to go up, it's going to go down, and we'll kind of do a kind of wave there and bring it down into here. And I think I kind of want some teeth coming down here, so I'll have the little sharp points there, but then like the bigger ones here, out, and then a bigger one, and then back up. And do that, and then I got the tonsils there, or the whatever that's called. Leave it in the comments if you're a nurse and are just appalled that I don't know what that part's called. And I think I'm probably gonna have like some honey coming off the teeth too. And there's going to be honey coming here and probably kind of up his hand, dripping down the side of the pot here. And then might be cool too here to just make it a little bit extra is having this tongue like come out of the mouth. That might be kind of cool too. With this, just trying to get the angle and the tongue to look natural. Of course, it's not gonna really look realistic with the tongue hanging this far out of the mouth, but we want it to look at least natural and kind of cartoonish and funny. So just trying to play around with, there we go, how we want that to look. There we go, that looks good. All right, so as you can see now, I'm gonna drop this. This does not look anything like these. I was just going more for what the honey pot looked like, you know, the style and the shape of the bears. I didn't want to get too close. That's why I used that more angled style of it. And then the biggest thing is incorporating my own, I guess, look and style to make it stand out from the rest. So we're good there. Let's go ahead and make a new layer here by hitting that plus button. And then we're going to go back to our sketch layer, and we're going to drop the opacity of this down to where we can barely see it. And then we're going to start inking. So we're going to go back up to that top layer then and start inking. And one thing here, I'll stop and kind of go back. One of the questions too was talking about line weight. I've covered line weight in some of the videos before, but people asking and wondering where to add line weight to. And a lot of my drawings, I always do, not always, but the majority of the time have the light source coming in from this top left. So in concerns to line weight, line weight number 1 adds an extra dimension to your picture, and it adds just a more interesting and visually appealing design. But more importantly, it also shows you where the light source is coming in. So in this case, with this coming in from here, I'm going to turn the streamline on. Since this is the top part of the light source, this line is going to be really thin, but it's going to come down and get thicker around this bottom part because this is where the shadow is. So line weight, yeah, it makes everything look cool, but it also kind of is a mimic of how the shadows are going to be laid in later. So as you're inking, as you're adding in the lines, already have set up where your light source is going to be coming in from, and you can set these up to know exactly where the line should be thicker at. Of course, you're always kind of working a step ahead of yourself when it comes to that, just because, I mean, we haven't even started adding color, let alone shadows to this. These lines down here at the bottom are going to be super thick because this is going to be the furthest away. So let's make these really kind of fat, and then they're going to go bigger on this right hand side, just because of the way that the shadows are coming in. So and then if you don't like the taper, just go back into your eraser and you can taper off the lines so they're a little bit thinner, a little bit sharper at the ends. Sometimes I get a little too carried away with line weight and make the lines a little bit too thick in some areas. So you can always change that up later with that eraser. Of course, this is going to be heavy line down here since this is the bottom once again, and all the weight of the bear is going to be sitting on top of that foot. And line should always be thicker on the outside regardless of where the light source is coming in. When you get to the inside parts, these are the parts that should have thinner line weight. I'm going to go ahead and erase this arrow because it's distracting me a little bit. All right. Let's go ahead and do... That's one thing I talked about too in the video about the art glove is it's hard to get used to because I'm used to when I do the undo or backwards shortcut, I usually press the middle finger and the ring finger down to undo, and you can't do that because the ring finger doesn't register with the glove on. So I've had to slowly teach myself in the past few days of using this that I need to use the index finger and the middle finger instead. So that's been a little bit of a learning curve with this new glove. Some of these lines aren't going to be perfect, but I want to do this really quick. See, I'm already running at 23 minutes, and I haven't even started coloring or anything yet. So this one's going to be probably a little bit longer video. Do the inside of the honey pot. Let's do the outer curve of that top lip that's coming out. And now I got to redo this because I didn't even come close to getting the shape that I wanted from the sketch. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to rework that a little bit. 3 fingers is really hard to do because I always do 3 fingers here. So now I've got to do 3 fingers here to do the redo, and it's really tough. I've been using Procreate now for about a little over 3 years, so I've really developed a muscle memory for the shortcuts and just how I do a design, and trying to get used to changing that up with this glove is pretty crazy. I love the glove though. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm getting a lot better lines out of this with the glove. Here I'm going to add a new layer so I can get this shape of the honey pot believable as it wraps around, but not have to worry about erasing other lines if I'm on the same layer. So that's why you'll see a lot of times that I'll do 2 layers. I've talked about this before, but I still get questions about it. So that's why I add extra line layers in here and then I merge them together, because it makes erasing a lot easier. Let's go ahead and merge those now. Oh, still got the top of the head here to do. And you'll see like a lot of these lines here too, I'm not going to connect. I just want the look that it says that it's the same shape going around, but it makes it a lot more interesting if you don't connect the lines all the way through sometimes. And that's what I'm doing here. So, okay, we got that. Start on the, we'll probably do the nose here. So let's go streamline to get this nose nice. And you'll see here that I'm trying to do the line a little bit thicker around this right part, since that's where the shadow is going to be. That's the importance of the line weight. Trying to connect them though is a little bit of a different story to get it nice and even. See, this is where the glove comes in too, that you can get some pretty steady lines with the glove. In the glove explanation video or review video I talked about, I really did not rest my wrist on the screen before. I kind of used the balance and the pressure of the tip of the pencil to do line work, and I think that the resting your wrist is a lot easier and makes a lot better lines. So I'm pretty happy so far with the way the glove's working out. I'm really liking it so far. I try to make that video fairly short too on the review. I know some of my videos run a little bit longer than some of your usual YouTube videos, so I try to make that one a little bit shorter. So check that one out, like I said, if you haven't yet. A few different lines here to kind of make him look crazy. He's just going nuts for this honey. A little bit too big of a circle there for the glare or the highlights. Let's do the mouth here. Like I said, just kind of the curves over here to give that crazy look. And we'll just pull this one straight up. So see here, I didn't go, straight across. I went curvy over here and then just one swoop over here. Makes it a little bit more interesting, and it's not a mirrored image from one side to the other, which I think works pretty well. And I think I'm going to go ahead and add a new layer here so I can get these lines in like I want them and not have to worry about overlapping and erasing later. Alright. There we go. Let's go ahead and do these teeth. So I want the one to kind of be a small point coming down here, and then the bigger point, and then across, and a bigger point, and the small point. I didn't do streamline on that, and I probably should have, so let's go ahead and kick that back and try it again with streamline. Oops. Picked the wrong one, not spacing. Streamline, there we go. Looks pretty good there. Then I'm going to do another, combine these layers, and then do another new layer. turn off streamline here for this first swoop. And do this other swoop with streamline. Because it's a bigger curve and I feel a little bit more comfortable. There we go. And go back and erase the overlap. It's one thing I always hate when streamline is turned on when I go to an eraser, because I never really want streamline on the eraser. I hate that it transfers over. That's my only complaint about Procreate, is really how the streamline transfers from the brush to the eraser. Alright. Looks good there. And then let's go ahead and add the honey in. It's just going to be dripping down, so I'm going to combine these layers again and then make a new layer to do the honey coming down. Honey, we just want it look like it's dripping, so do a few lines there, and then also some of these swooshes to bring it back around, and you'll be able to see like the pot through that swoosh there. Add another new layer on top because I want to have more of this honey coming down here, but I don't want to have to erase part of what I've already done. There we go. Alright, so I'll turn off the line, or the sketch lines there, and I think we're ready for the colors then. Okay, so let's add the colors. One thing I noticed, I gotta add eyebrows. I forgot his eyebrows. Let's go ahead and pop those in real quick. Make that a little bit thicker. I want those to stand out a little bit more. There we go. Cool. So we're going to go up here. We're going to make a new layer and then drop this layer down behind this one. We're going to set this as reference so we can just drag and drop these colors over. I think kind of want to go for like a kind of a brown, but like more of like a burnt umberish. Let's pull up our reference photos and see what they did here. So obviously Pooh Bear is going to be like a yellow. This is a brown. This is kind of more the color I'm going for, but I want a little bit brighter. So let's go ahead and sample this color. Then I'm going to go up to my color picker here and just kind of turn up the intensity a little bit. I kind of like that there. So go to our color layer here and just kind of start dropping stuff in. I see one problem here. This doesn't connect, so let's go ahead and connect that. There we go. Well, now I've got to go back to my colors again here. Pick that up the intensity a little bit. All right, turn it back off. Start dropping this in. Until I get in, that looks a little too bright, so I'm going to drop it back down a little bit. That's a little too much. This is just kind of a playing around with it until you get that right color to see exactly what you want. I think that looks pretty good there. Oops, that's the pot. We need that to be a different color. All right, there we go. Let's do the nose like a darker brown. There we go. Side of the mouth here. Tongue, kind of a bright pinkish color. There's that. Of course, don't forget your white for the insides of the eyes. that there. And then I think I almost want another line in here too. So we're going to add a new layer here. The way that the mouth comes up and around, kind of want a separate color in there. There we go. This, you'll see the benefit of adding that extra line layer is that you can just erase this and not have to worry about erasing any of those lines you've already done. It's one of those tips and tricks you'll get from the videos. It saves you time from going back in and trying to have to be super careful erasing each and every little line. Just want this to taper up a little bit more here. There we go. Cool. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to sample this color and then drop it more to a yellowish brown. Combine the line layers we just made and then throw that in there. Then we're going to use that same color inside the ears as well. All right, I'm going to get a bright yellow for the honey that's dripping everywhere. And then this honey, can't fill that whole thing in because the pot's going to be filled up with that color too, so I need to add an extra line in here of this dripping down like that. Actually, we're going to do it like this. Make it look a little bit more natural. There we go. Sweet. All right, so let's go back to our color layer. Fill that in, and then we've got to fill that last little bit of the paw in there. And the honey pot, I'm thinking more of like a darker grayish brown so it stands out against the body. I want to be able to tell where the body stops and the pot starts. So I think that's pretty good there. So color flats are laid in. I think we might have to do the teeth. Yep, still got to do the teeth. Let's do that there. All right. So we're going to add a new layer, and this is going to be our shadow layer. So we've got the light source coming in from here, so anything on this right-hand side is going to be shadowed. So we're just going to throw this in fairly quick here. Go to our wand, and then go to opacity and drop the opacity down. I said in previous videos, if something is completely covered, I like to go around the edges at least a little bit so that the person that's looking at it knows that they are two different colors, even if it doesn't make sense with the way that the light source is. I still like to add that extra highlight there just so it shows that yes, these are two different colors. If there's too much of the same color, you really can't tell that there's two different colors at work on the design in those certain areas. So with these shadows, like I said, I just kind of put them on the same stroke and the same curve as the lines so it looks natural. Pull away there just so you can see that there's two different colors. And then here, this top hair part is laying on top of here, so there's going to be a shadow there. There's going to be a shadow here on this one. I always like to add the shadows into the eye section, as I've stated in previous videos. Kind of makes the eyes pop a little bit more. See, I'm pretty sloppy here too because you can just go back in and erase it. No big deal. Do this one as well. Swoosh that there. I'm not sure with this being so dark. It actually shows up pretty well. Wasn't sure with that being as dark as what it is on the nose if the shadow was going to show, but it kind of does. So we'll get some good shadows here on the teeth too, the way the nose overlaps. Fill these in. Once I get these filled in, I'm going to go back and remove a little bit of the shadow here and there just so you can tell. There are the two different colors there. And we're going to pull this eyeshadow all the way down to the nose. Like so. There we go.
Sorry,
cool.
I'm not sure about that.
Oh my goodness. That's the second video that Alexa has just chimed in on, so she wasn't too sure. I did move her further away from the mic, so I don't think it picked it up as well as what it did that first time, but I can't remember if I talked about that before. We were huge, like all into the Amazon Alexa ecosystem. Got the smart lights and
Sorry, I'm not sure about that.
smart lights and all that stuff. So we pretty much have the ALEXAs in every room to control all the house functions. So every once in a while, she's gonna chime in. Just, I guess, can't help it. I don't know. All right, so this is going to give off shadow here with the pot coming down, as well as this arm here, and then this back part of this leg, as well as the bottom part of the foot, and where this overlaps here with this knee, thigh part coming down. This is all going to be a shadow here. There we go. And it's starting to shape up pretty well. This hand here is going to give off a pretty big shadow as well, so we'll bring that around. Like so. And a couple shadows in this honey part that's coming around. You can see the shadows, I really try to keep a good fluid motion to those so they look really natural. Not something too blocky. Even though the overall design's pretty blocky, those still have a nice flow to them. It just makes it look more interesting and natural. Bring a shadow down around this lip area here. Do a couple of shadows inside the eyes themselves. This isn't always a necessary thing, but every once in a while it looks kind of cool to add these into the bottoms. And then this tongue is going to have a shadow as well down at the bottom here, wrapped around. Along this back side as well. Wrap this shadow around here too. I also need to add in shadow inside that inner ear. Then I'm going to remove the shadow from the bottom part here. And then the bottom of the ear is going to have a shadow just because the light's coming in this way. So you're going to have a small bit of shadow here. I'm going to wrap that around that line too. All right, I think that looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and I'm going to do one more shadow layer. Like I said, sometimes it's good to add 2 shadow layers because this ear here is going to give off another shadow inside this overlap section. Since the whole ear has a shadow right now, that section is not giving off its own shadow, so that's why I want to add in a second shadow layer. Then we're going to drop the opacity down so we get it to look right. Looks good there. I'll probably add a couple more down in this section here, because it's going to be a little bit of a darker shadow. And I think that's it. I'm not really going to mess too much more with that. So last thing I'm going to do is add in the highlights. So let's go ahead and add a new layer in here. We're going to go in with white. Once again, the light source is coming from this upper side. So let's get that first one in. As soon as we have that first one in, we can go up and go to the opacity and drop that down until it looks natural. Looks pretty good there. And then hit these other sections, which I'm going to turn back on the streamline for that. Just get that nice curve in there. And this part here, because that light's coming in from that direction, it's going to have a little bit coming down this way. It's a little bit too thick, so let's pull it back down a little bit. There we go. Don't want too much. This here too is going to have some. So let's hit that. Put a couple little shiny circles in the honey. I think I'm going to go back to the black and to the line layer, and I kind of want them to have like the little kneecap swooshes. I like those. I think they're always really cute. They're done correctly. Little 6s or G's or whatever you want to call them. And let's go back to the highlights and hit this tongue on this top part a little bit. We got a little bit of black there too. Clean that up. And then if you do use the reference layer to fill your colors, you'll see as I'm erasing this, you've got some of that leftover that didn't get filled initially, so you'll have to go back in. So that's a good tip there too, if you use that reference layer and you go back in and adjust or delete or erase that initial line layer that was there, you'll have to go back in with your color layer to kind of pick up the slack of what you just erased. All right, so there we go. A bear with the hand in the honey pot using different reference photos, but we didn't want to get too close to the originals. So walked you through the complete process of how to use reference photos, but only as inspiration and as a mood board to give you a final product. All right, guys, that's it for today's video. As always, thank you for watching. If you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you like today's video, give me a thumbs up. And if you want alerts when I post new videos, make sure you hit that bell button too. Also, link in the description, join the Facebook group, keep creating a Learn, Draw, Share art community. We've got more and more members every day posting their creations. We want to see what you guys are doing, so hop on over and join us there. But as for me, I can be found online at bjdell.com, as well as Twitter and Instagram at bjdell. So until next time, keep creating.